You ever look in the mirror and feel like something's watching? Not someone. Something. Like there's a storm just behind your eyes waiting to break loose. But you've been playing it small for so long, you forgot what lightning even feels like. Most folks, they walk around acting like their body's just meat and bone, something to dress up, drag to work, numb with sugar. But there's a shift coming. You feel it too, don't you? That pull, that pressure, like something bigger is about to move through you. You ever notice how people flinch the second life gets a little too real? Just a pinch of pressure, a little heat, and boom, they're scrambling for comfort like rats in a sinking ship. But here's the part they never tell you in the bedtime stories and the motivational fairy tales. Discomfort isn't there to hurt you. It's the alarm, the wake-up call. That little itch in your brain and burn in your gut that says something's off, something's stirring. And if you don't move, if you don't do something, you're gonna miss the whole damn show. See, people treat pain like a glitch. They think if I'm hurting, something must be wrong. No, if you're hurting, something might finally be right. Discomfort means the illusion is cracking. That fake little life you've been duct taping together is starting to show its seams. And instead of fixing it, really fixing it, you slap on another layer of distraction. A new show. A cheap thrill. A stronger drink. Anything to numb that signal screaming from inside your bones, this isn't it. That's the funny thing. We're also addicted to the idea of peace and pleasure. We forgot that the furnace is where the gold gets. Not the couch, not the spa. The fire. You want to grow, then prepare to burn. You want to change, then meet pain. Shake its hand. Let it tell you where you've been hiding, what you've been avoiding, who you've been pretending to be. That knot in your stomach, that's truth knocking. And it knocks differently for everyone. For some, it's that dread when they walk into a job they hate. For others, it's the silence after a fight, the mirror after a lie, the feeling that time is sprinting while they're just standing there. That's discomfort. It's the body's way of saying you're lying to yourself, kid, and I'm not gonna shut up until you stop. But oh, how we run. We run into relationships just to feel wanted. We run into crowds just to feel seen. We bury ourselves in busyness because being still means hearing the truth. And what's the truth? That we've been hiding, dimming, waiting for something we already have inside of us, but it only wakes up when we're cornered, when we're stretched, when we've got nowhere left to run and finally look ourselves in the eye and say, okay, now what? That's the door, right there. That moment of raw, skin-peeling honesty, that's where it begins. Not in books, not in sermons, not in the next self-help circus, but in that ugly, beautiful, unbearable space where you admit you're not okay and you're done faking it. That's when the discomfort becomes fuel. That's when the ache becomes action. You know what's scarier than pain? Numbness. That cold, dead silence where you don't even feel bad anymore. That's the real horror show. Because once the discomfort dies, so does the drive. You stop reaching. You stop moving. You just exist, like a ghost in your own life. That's why discomfort is sacred. It keeps you alive, it keeps you hungry, it keeps the fire from going out. And yeah, it's brutal. It doesn't come with a guidebook, it doesn't hold your hand. It punches you in the face and dares you to get back up. And when you do, when you finally stop running and let the discomfort teach you something, that's when things get interesting, and that's when the static clears and you start to see not just what's wrong, but what's possible. Because that's the part they never teach in school. The discomfort isn't punishment. It's a summons, a sign that you're being called to more truth, more grit, more life. But only if you answer. Only if you stop trying to shut it up with sugared up and silence and start asking, what are you trying to tell me? And here's the joke, the louder the discomfort, the closer you are. To what? To you, the real you. The one underneath the fear, the costume, the approval addiction. But you only meet that version when things fall apart, when the act stops working, When the spotlight burns out and it's just you alone, aching, cracking, becoming something new in the dark. Funny, isn't it? How people always say they're trying to change, trying to be better, trying to start, but nothing actually changes. They keep saying tomorrow like it's this magical land where all the fear disappears and everything finally makes sense. But tomorrow is the biggest con ever sold. The sweetest little lie you whisper to yourself at night to keep the guilt just quiet enough so you can sleep. You're not trying. You're delaying. And delay, that's the slowest, most polite form of self-destruction there is. See, the beauty of delay is that it doesn't feel like failure. Not right away. It feels like caution. Wisdom. I'm being patient, you tell yourself. I'm waiting for the right moment. You dress it up in pretty words so you don't have to look at what it really is, fear wearing a mask. And every time you delay, every time you hesitate, you're just carving out another little chunk of yourself and tossing it into the pit. Slowly, quietly, with a smile on your face. People think destruction's this big, dramatic explosion. Fire, chaos, screaming. But no, the real kind. It happens in silence, and it happens in the soft clicks of the snooze button. In the shrug when you say not today. In the scroll that lasts hours. It happens while you tell yourself you're just figuring things out. But you're not. You're avoiding. You're hiding. You're standing in the doorway of your own potential, staring at it like it's a wild animal instead of your damn birthright. And you want to know the worst part, you get good at it. Delay becomes a skill. A rhythm. You start telling stories about yourself that make it okay. I'm just not like them. It's not my time yet. I need to wait until I feel ready. Ready. Nobody ever feels ready. Readiness is a myth told by the comfortable to keep the restless in chains. If you're waiting to feel ready, you're waiting to die without ever having lived. You talk about potential like it's this shiny thing, like gold waiting in the dirt. But potential means nothing without action. It's like having dynamite with no fire. You can carry it around, show it off, talk about how powerful it could be, but it will never explode. It'll never make an impact. You'll just be a walking bomb that never went off. All that power, all that energy wasted in silence because you were too scared to strike the match. You delay because you're afraid of getting it wrong, of looking stupid, of failing. But what you don't realize is that every delay is a failure. A quiet one, a slow one that doesn't get noticed until it's too late. You think you're buying time, but time is buying you. Renting your soul one excuse at a time until you're too old, too tired, too numb to even care that you never really did it. And maybe you tell yourself you're just waiting for a sign. For the universe to say, now's the time. But signs don't come to the waiting. They come to the moving. The ones who take the first step without knowing the second. The ones who bleed a little for the dream. The ones who run toward the fear instead of letting it lull them to sleep. You think you're stuck because you don't have answers, but really you're stuck because you won't act without them. And here's the kicker, answers don't come first, action does. Movement creates clarity. The fog doesn't lift until you walk straight into it. And yeah, you'll fall, you'll fail, you'll fumble, but at least you'll feel alive. At least you'll know you tried. Not the fake kind of trying, the kind that actually risks something. The kind that costs something. Every delay is a thief. It doesn't just steal time. It steals you. The version of you that could have been. The life that could have unfolded. You think you're playing it safe, but safety is just a pretty name for surrender. You're not saving yourself, you're selling yourself cheap. And the currency, confidence, passion, piece by piece, traded for one more day of pretending you're not ready when deep down, you know damn well your people always worship perfection like it's the ticket to getting what they want. Like the world's keeping score, handing out trophies for who planned it best, who looked the cleanest, who moved the quietest. But that's not how this place works, not really. The truth, momentum doesn't care if you've got it all figured out. Momentum laughs at perfect timing. Momentum rewards the ones who throw the first punch, even if they swing wild. It rewards the messy, the impulsive, the ones too stubborn to wait for a green light. It's chaos, baby, and chaos loves movement. See, most people stand still their whole lives thinking, once I know what to do, I'll move. Once I'm confident, once I've got the gear, once the plan's airtight, then I'll go. But by the time they finish perfecting their strategy, the moment's gone. The window shut. The opportunity already handed to someone who didn't wait for instructions. Someone who stepped into the ring with blood on their teeth and fear in their eyes, but still moved, still acted. That's the secret no one wants to admit. Messy action beats perfect ideas every single time. Every single time. You think momentum's some magical wave that shows up when you're finally ready. No, momentum is summoned. Summoned by motion, by risk, by guts. And the best part, it multiplies. One move leads to another. One bold step turns into two, then three. And suddenly the ground starts moving under your feet. Not because you waited, but because you didn't. The problem is you've been lied to. You've been sold the idea that hesitation is wisdom, that holding back is smart, that if you just wait long enough, the path will clear up, the sky will open, and the spotlight will hit you just right. But that's not how this works. The spotlight doesn't find you. You drag yourself into the light, one shaky step at a time, covered in doubt, wrapped in fear, but you move anyway. That's how momentum starts. Not with answers, with action. And yeah, it's gonna be ugly. You're gonna look ridiculous. People might laugh, you might fail, you will fail. But failure is fuel. It stings, sure, but it burns in all the right places. It makes you faster, sharper, meaner. And the more you move, the less the fear matters. Because fear only survives in stillness. Momentum kills fear. Not all at once, but inch by inch, scream by scream, until one day you realize it's quiet in your head for the first time in years, but no one tells you that part. They just show you the highlight reel, the polished version, the moment the world claps, but what they don't show you is the mess behind it. The nights no one saw, the half-finished plans, the shaky voices, the trembling hands that hit publish anyway. That's where it lives, that's where the shift happens. Not in perfection, but in motion. Not in clarity, but in chaos. You keep waiting for the courage to show up like it's some grand arrival. But courage is a side effect. It doesn't come before the leap. It comes after the fall, after the blood, after the risk. It shows up when you've already moved, already acted, already proven you can survive without a script. Momentum doesn't respect the ones who overthink. It crowns the ones who dare. Even if they don't know what the hell they're doing yet, you want momentum. Then stop waiting for the moment to feel right. The right moment is a lie. The only real moment is now. Now with your hands shaking. Now with the doubt screaming in your ears. Now with no applause, no certainty, no guarantee. That's when you move. That's when the engine starts. You don't need a map. You need a match. Something to burn. And baby, hesitation makes for great kindling. So while everyone else is still building their pretty little plans, still adjusting their lenses, still rehearsing their perfect lines, you're already moving, already building, already creating a storm too loud to ignore. Because once you start, once that wheel turns, it doesn't matter how it looked in the beginning. The world remembers momentum. It forgets hesitation. You ever notice how the world loves a clean story? The hero rises, the villain falls. Everything gets tied up with a pretty little bow. People love tidy. People love polished. They want transformation to look good on paper, well lit, well behaved, and easy to digest. But the real stuff, the real change, it's never neat. It's never quiet. It's raw. It's violent. It's ugly. And you, sweetheart, you don't get used when you're polished. You get used when you're cracked. See, there's a point where you break so bad that even your shadow starts looking at you funny. Your thoughts twist, your breath stutters, and nothing fits anymore, not your plans, not your people, not even your own damn skin. And just when you think it's all gone, that's when something bigger steps in. Not to fix you. Oh no, to use you just like that, broken, bent, wide open. You think power needs polish. Power needs pressure. It needs rupture. It needs someone who's tasted the dark and didn't flinch. Someone who's seen the worst of themselves and decided to show up anyway. That's the weapon. That's the vessel. Not the one who hides their scars, but the one who bleeds purpose. The ones who scream, I'm still here, even when everything inside them's begging to disappear. People get this backwards. They think divine use is about purity, about being clean, about being holy or perfect or shiny enough to hold some sacred spark. But the spark doesn't pick you because you're clean. It picks you because you're ready. And being ready means being broken in all the right places. It means the mask is gone. The lies are dead. The shell is cracked so wide open that light doesn't even need a door to get in. You don't find your calling in calm waters. You find it in the wreckage. In the wreckage you didn't think you'd make it through. In the mornings where you woke up and didn't recognize your own damn face. That's where it's forged. Right there in the collapse, in the scream, in the silence that comes after everything's been ripped away and you're just there, still breathing, still standing, barely, and then something shifts. It's not a miracle. It's not fireworks, it's a whisper, a pull, a weight that settles on your chest like gravity with a mission. And suddenly you're not just surviving, you're channeling. The pain becomes fuel. The failure becomes fire. Every crack in your soul becomes a window. And through that window, something sacred starts to move, starts to speak, starts to use. You think it cares about your resume, about your titles, about how many followers you've got or how pretty your story sounds on paper? No, it cares about capacity, how much truth you can carry, how much pain you've endured, how loud your spirit roars even when your voice is shot. It's not looking for statues. It's looking for soldiers. And soldiers aren't clean. Soldiers are bloody, bruised, and ready. People keep waiting to be chosen, waiting to be enough. But what they don't see is that the choosing doesn't happen when you're at your best. It happens when you're down bad, when the world has chewed you up, and you're still crawling forward with fire in your eyes. That's when you're dangerous. That's when you're usable. Because now you've got nothing left to protect. No image to maintain. Just truth. Just grit. Just that raw divine spark that says, let's go. And you know what else? The ones who get used the most, yeah, they never see it coming. They think they're finished. They think it's over. But that's just the setup. That's the preparation. That's the stripping away of all the things that don't matter, until the only thing left is you, the real you, the one who's finally light enough, open enough, wild enough to carry something bigger than yourself without breaking again. So yeah, stay cracked, stay broken. That's where the light gets in. That's where the calling finds you. That's where the fire starts to roar. Not in your perfection, not in your quiet little prayers, but in the mess, in the madness, in the moments you think no one's watching, but something sacred is sitting front row, grinning, waiting for you to rise from the ruin and move. Everybody wants the power, but nobody wants the power. They want the stage, but not the silence that comes before it. They want the crown, but not the weight. They want to be chosen, to be used, to be called, but only if it doesn't hurt, only if it doesn't take too long, only if it fits nicely inside the little box they built for their lives. But let me tell you a little secret, something the bedtime stories left out. The price always comes first, and it's not cute. It doesn't come with receipts or guarantees, no refunds, no exchanges. Just you, your pain, and a mirror. People think the price is something they can negotiate. That maybe if they're good enough, work hard enough, smile just right, and keep their hands clean, they'll earn the power without bleeding for it. But power doesn't work like that. It never has. It waits in the dark corners, it lurks behind every loss, every betrayal, every sleepless night where you question everything. And it watches to see what you'll do when the lights go out and nobody's clapping. When it's just you and your own damn doubt echoing through your skull like a ticking bomb. You want to be used. You want to matter. Then pay up. And I don't mean money, I mean comfort. I mean certainty. I mean the life you thought you were going to live, gone, burned to ash. And in its place, a new path, one you didn't ask for, one you wouldn't have picked in a million years. But it's yours. Because the calling doesn't come to the strongest or the smartest or the safest. It comes to the willing, the ones who are ready to sacrifice everything they thought they needed just to step into something bigger than they can understand. Nobody tells you how lonely it gets, how cold it feels to walk into a room full of people and realize you've outgrown the version of yourself they still expect. Nobody warns you about the nights you'll wake up gasping, wondering if you've lost your mind. And maybe you have. But maybe that's the price, to losing your mind so you can finally find your soul. Because real power doesn't come from keeping it together. It comes from falling apart just enough to let something else in. And don't get it twisted, the price doesn't show up all at once. It's not a lump sum. It's installment payments. Daily, you'll pay in patience, in silence, in people who leave, in dreams that die, in plans that crumble. You'll pay when you don't want to, when it hurts the most, when all you want to do is run, and still you'll be asked to stay, to stand, to move anyway. That's the cost, that's the toll at the gate. You think pain is the enemy, but pain is the initiation. It's the fire that proves you can hold the weight of what's coming. Everyone wants a breakthrough, but no one wants to be broken. Everyone wants the voice, but no one wants the silence that forges it. Everyone wants the mountain, but they forget it's built on corpses, old versions of you that had to die so the new one could rise. That's the process, that's the price. The ones who are truly used by purpose, by truth, by whatever force you want to call it, they don't walk around with smiles and pretty words. They carry weight in their eyes, your eyes. They've seen things, lost things, given up things most people wouldn't even touch, and they still show up. Not because it's easy, but because it's theirs, because the fire won't let them sleep, because they've already paid too much to go back. People look at these kinds of people like they're special, but they're not. They're just willing to let go, willing to bleed, willing to look ridiculous, willing to stand in the middle of the storm without a plan, without a promise, with nothing but a whisper in their chest and a fire in their whisper. That's what separates the ones who are used from the ones who are just watching. So if you want it, if you really want it, then prepare to pay. Not once, not twice, every day. In doubt, in darkness, in silence, in sacrifice. That's the toll, that's the cost. And it's worth it. But no one's coming to collect the price. It's you, your comfort, your fear, your old identity, that version of you that's too small to carry what's coming next. And until you're ready to let that version burn, you'll just be standing at the edge of something great, wondering why nothing's moving, when really it's just waiting for you to finally say yes with everything you've got.